My name is Catherine Matthews, and I'm here today to talk to you about how easy it is to become more self-sufficient. I know that a lot of people think about becoming more self-sufficient, but it's hard to know what to do or how to start, and it can seem like an overwhelming and impossible task, but I promise you it's not. I guarantee that after this talk, you will walk away convinced that incorporating some of these ideas into your everyday life is much easier than you thought it would be. In today's society, you can step out your door and get almost anything you want with little to no effort on your part at all. If you want it and you can afford it, you can probably buy it. This ability that we have has resulted in an instant gratification society that has very little knowledge of how to take care of itself. In an emergency or catastrophe, if an emergency or catastrophe occurred tomorrow, could you take care of your family? If you couldn't go to the grocery store for even basic food, or go to your nearest Walmart for everything else, would you be able to survive? Most people couldn't. And I'm not talking about just having an emergency supply on hand of food and water, although that's a great idea to start with. I'm talking about integrating basic skills back into our daily lives. In the last 50 years, there has been a steady decline of people's ability to do what used to be essential things needed for survival. The ability to grow your own food, to can it, and cook it from scratch. Have access to clean water, or store and purify your own if that isn't possible. Make your own cleaner, and many other things that you can do to take care of yourself and your family without having to run out to the store every day. Anyone can grow their own food. According to the folks at Gallagher-Free Suburban Survival, to grow enough wheat for a year's worth of bread, baking, and cooking for a family of 4, you need to have 400 square yards of garden space. That's 3,600 square feet, the amount of space that a mid-sized home takes up. Once you grow your own wheat and cut it down, you can store it in a sealed container in a cool, dry place for years. Grinding it as you need it to make your bread. Another thing that they talked about in Gallagher-Free Suburban Survival is planting crops, other crops besides the wheat, in between your rows of wheat to use the space economically. When you look at this economic use of space, you can see that you can meet a lot of your food needs with very little, much less space than I anticipated before I did the research. Now, that may be more land than you have available to you. A lot of people don't have really huge yards. But even somebody who lives in an apartment can have tomato plants in a container or grow their own herbs on the counter or windowsill. And I've even seen people have small fruit trees in a container in their house. So every little bit helps. Once you have your own food and you've picked it, you now need to store it until you're ready to use it. For a lot of different foods, this means canning. The website for the Natural Center for Home Food Preservation includes everything that you need to know about canning, including what it is, the different methods you can use, the supplies that you'll need, how to detect spoiled foods, recipes for canning, and much more. You can also freeze your food to store it, which is generally a quicker and easier method than regular boiled canning. Generally, you need to peel the fruit, for example, tomatoes, and then cook them and store them in your package for the freezer. And that's really all there is to it. It's very simple and it doesn't take a lot of time. You want to make sure that you always leave the appropriate amount of head space, which is what they call the space that you leave between the food and the top of the jar, in order to preserve quality. But you can find a list of headspace measurements as well at the website for the Natural Center for Home Food Preservation to take the guesswork out of that. If you're growing, harvesting, and packaging your own food, you know what is in everything that you eat and exactly how fresh it is. Now, when I say you'll know what's in it, I'm not just talking about preservatives and chemicals, although that plays into it as well. But I'm also talking about the amount of insect parts, eggs, parasites, and what is termed as rodent filth by the FDA that they consider safe for us to consume every day. According to the FDA handbook that details acceptable contaminant levels in our food, just for one example, macaroni and other types of noodles that you can buy off the shelf at your grocery store can contain, and this is a quote from the FDA handbook, an average of 225 insect fragments, or more than 225 grams in 6 or more subsamples. Now, that doesn't mean that you can figure that you have 225 insect parts in your package of spaghetti, which is gross enough all by itself. What that means is that at the plant, as they were running everything through their machines, they picked up a sample, and that's the maximum amount that they could find in the sample to determine that it's safe. So the actual package that you buy on the grocery store could have much less or much more than that. Just basic common sense, the way that that works. So I don't know about you, but I think I can do a better job than 225 insect parts when I make my own noodles at home. You take the wheat that you've already planted and harvested, and you grind this in a hand mill. You don't need a big fancy machine, you don't need a lot of it, and you can make your own noodles. And I guarantee you, you're not going to have 225 insect parts or rodent filth in your noodles that you made at home. Another reason that I think homegrown food is better is the label organic. I know a lot of people say, I don't need to grow my own food because I only buy organic. Well, the fact of the matter is there's very little control over the label organic. There's very little oversight into that. So a company can claim that something is organic, which I don't know about you, but in my mind, when I hear the word organic, I picture the farmer coming straight from his field to the grocery store, sort of. You know, it's supposed to be that pure. But really, there are not that many things that, there's not that many restrictions on the organic label. So pretty much anything can be labeled organic. So don't think that because it says organic, it's good for you. So that's another reason. Another reason is economics. If you grow your own food, you're going to save so much money. The packaging, the preservatives, the markup for the grocery store, the markup for the company, we pay sometimes... No.